So I will use a 2B to start working on this piece. So I will do the composition. At the beginning of the work, you could uh, do a composition first. So you do that, maybe this composition. So sometimes a big outline helps with the big outline helps with the composition. So look at this. So you can use your phone to take a look of the same image to see. Maybe since I use the 2B and I do very softly, so maybe it's harder for you to see the very clear line. But however, you can see my hand. So see this kind of gesture. So sometimes when you draw shoulders, you needed to compare the line of this with the line of this. You need to compare the height and the tendency. And then the whole face, you can see that this is the outline. So just in case, sometimes it helps to find the big impression of the whole thing. So now I will draw the chain part. So when I do this, I try to also look at this and this to see if this is accurate. To see this is accurate. You know, each portrait, if you look at the model, look at the photo, each portrait when you draw could be a little bit different strategy how to catch the shape. So for this one, I do like this, but maybe another piece of the work I'm not doing like this. There's no rule, how to do it. So each one you need to think about the strategy how to catch the shape. So for this one, yeah, sometimes I like last time I remember I did a demonstration. I do a detail features, right? I didn't do any outline, but even didn't do any outline, I have some clue, how to catch it. So I have some strategy already in my mind. But this one, because I going to teach you very basic again. Okay, so I start from the scratch from outline. It's probably most helpful for you. So that's why I do it like this. So okay, so now I for this work I use the line like this. Helps me to catch the tendency of the whole face. It's very important, very soft line to run this line. So you can compare with the image to see why I do this. Actually, it's go through the uh, brow, middle of the brow to the chin. So it goes through this way so that it's a big tendency. Okay, don't include the tip of the nose, but from the middle of the brow, middle of the eyes, and then the middle of the mouth, uh, the bottom line of the nose, and to the chin, and you can find this kind of direction. So this is the big tendency. In most of the situation, students send me the work, they probably have the very basic problem is this line is not correct. So when this line is not correct, everything can be shifted and never can be corrected. So it's very, very important. So very important. So based on this, then I can decide where is the eye. So we can find the crossroad between the eye and this line. For this current pose, it's kind of like the midway a little bit lower a little bit lower of the middle. Usually I do this line is exactly on the lower lid of the eyes. You know, the eye have a big area, right? So I mean the eye level is usually I put the lower lid line of the eye. Okay, so we can do this line. You need to check your picture or your model to see if this tendency is accurate. And most of situation we tend to make it flat because we feel comfortable, right? We feel like it's not so much natural feeling, like why it's not so even, and we feel like comfortable to make it. Sometimes we feel like it's a safe to make it even, right? But actually, you need to follow with what you see. So you need to follow with this pencil. You see this is the angle, and then you can see you can draw the brow also in the same kind of thing, and you can see visually from brow to the is someone drawing? No, I cannot see any. Okay, so from brow to the chin, usually the midway is the nose, tip of the nose. But for the current feature, I believe that this photo probably is a photo by the cell phone or something close by the lens. So this part a little bit longer. That's okay. So probably her nose a little bit longer. So compare with this, according to um, the regular proportion, usually it's like midway for the nose. So then we can find actual angle of the nose. So the nose is going like this, stick out like this. So don't confuse with this line and the whole tendency. So and then the mouth. Usually the mouth is like a 1/3 from the nose to the chin. So 1/3, 1, 2, 3, like a 1/3. So I mean the mouth line for mouth is like the slipping between up and down, uh, upper mouth and lower lip. So it's like this line. Okay. So we're not drawing the lip shape yet. Okay. And and because of the perspective, okay. So these lines are not totally parallel. They needed to be what a little bit. Okay, look at my fingers. Maybe the camera a little bit from the side, not so much accurate. But you see, this line need to be go closer, something like that. So not totally like a parallel, a little bit this way will be okay. Also the chin. So here it's a little bit more flat. The higher was the more steep. So it look like a fin, like that way. Yeah, understand that. So now I draw the facial parts. So actually, we also can sometimes even um, the the cheekbone, zygomatic arch. The her zygomatic arch is not so obvious because of lots of fulfilled with the fat and the yeah and the skin part. So, but we also can check this with the same kind of system, right? With this kind of angle. And for front view photo, sometimes it's very easy to forget about the side of the face. But actually, for this one, you always need to consider, okay, understand this part is the side, but this side you cannot see it, right? So don't make this disappear. So we still make sure you need to keep this side of face, side of the face. It's important. And most of the situation, people draw features and forget about this. And then finally, they will pull the features all to the front. And then find, okay, here too small. And then they enlarge it. So, and then here is too big. That's a very often situation, right? So at the very beginning, we need to have totally everything with spatial understanding to draw. So, and then the ear. So usually the ear is from the eyebrow to the nose, right? So first, you need to follow with, so for example, for this volume, so if this line come here, right? And then follow with this face, because the ear is on this face, or side of face. On this face, this line needed to be go up and find where is the ear. So of course, if you use the reference of the photo, it's easy for you to check the eye, the level of that to the to here. Okay, maybe here. Okay, let's see a little bit lower. So this it's easy to check, but the actual situation is like go here and up. Okay, this is the way to check the position. Also the eyeball. So then, so here it's here. Yeah, somehow the photo is easy to check because it's already a two-dimensional. Already a two-dimensional, so you can check directly to here. So this is the way to find the position. Okay. Then I double check the mouth and the shoulder. So actually, the shoulder, I could make the shoulder a little more clear. Yeah. And then a little bit up above. And then the muscle of the neck. It's still important. Don't just ignore it. So this muscle is connecting the clavicle. Clavicle. So this is the clavicle bone. So basically, clavicle bone is maybe symmetrical, but her body is a little facing this way, right? Facing this way. So not totally symmetrical. This side a little longer, this side a little shorter. And you see the pit between the clavicle, right? So you see the pit between the clavicle, and this muscle go to one foot, go to the middle, because here's a sternum, yeah. So sternal, and here's a clavicle. So one foot on the sternum, clavicle, and here is the sternal mastoid. So mastoid. So this is a sternal, mastoid, clavicle, the 3 points connecting. So this is another side. Not so obvious. You don't have to very obviously have connecting. So, for example, this face facing this way and twisted a little bit. So this side of muscle is more obvious. So we can draw more detail. And there's some deep muscle here, so we don't have to exactly draw this muscle, but we can draw. Here's the line. I prefer to draw because it helps to understand the neck like a tube. You can see the tube, so it's like a foot of tube. So this is the neck. So yeah, usually when we do the portrait, we need to draw the head and the neck together. So because especially the neck tells lots of information of expression, yeah, because this kind of movement can make muscle more 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 obvious. So now based on this, I'm going to do more detail. I will do detail with the nose. So I draw the nose. When I draw the nose, mostly I wanted to locate side, two sides, and I look at this center line. You can see that this side is longer, this side is shorter. And also you can see the mouth, compare the corner of the mouth, and you can see, check this triangle to see this shape is correct or not. And then you can draw the lower lip. Okay, then you can see that, check the face shape. And there is the thickness of the chin, so we can do that later. We will do the eyes. And the eyes is the most difficult. So we have to decide the length of the eyes. So we can find the corner of the eyes, and definitely this is longer, this is shorter. You know why? Because this face is bigger, this face is smaller. It's a perspective. Many situations, students do the two eyes, they feel like needed to be same size. They're very easy to do the same size because the concept, they see even they look at the images, you feel like they are really equal, you know. But if you have perspective understanding, you will notice they are totally different size. So yeah, so everything work with perspective, and you will feel much understandable. So okay, so now I see the opening of the eyes, and I see the front eyes, and then so mostly there is one eye distance between two eyes. So you need to check the size, longer, medium, shorter, something like that, to make that comfortable. So of course, also easy for you to check on the photo to see this line go down. Where is it? To see this line, this part go down. Where is it? Is here or here? Is there? You can compare them each other. So like networking. Okay, so now I can work on the detail more. And then work on eyebrow. So eyebrow here is not really like this line, but you can see a angle like this. See that this side. So we still can compare this spot and this spot to make them actually follow with this direction, right? Follow in this spot and compare with this spot, follow with this. And we can also check this one. Yeah, when we draw the hair, probably there is a thickness of the hair, so it could be a little bit different with the very beginning outline. So it be a little bit change. That's the usual. Now I draw more detailedly on everything. Try not, especially for beginner, try not to just focus on eye to work. It's better to look around everything again and again. So you need to always check everything again and again. You see the big thing together. show more detail over here. So this is about the first step to do the outline, and although I feel like it's very beginning, but I need to practice a lot. Practice a lot with this method to practice a lot. So yeah, don't too much hurry up to go to the details, and it's better to stay on this step, and very prudent to work, very prudent to work details, but stay on this, and sometimes you can check uh, again, check many times until you feel everything's perfect, and then you can work on two more details. So, yeah, so when I do this, actually I'm actually like I'm still looking at this form to see it's okay or not. I feel like maybe this everyone's actual feature could be a little different. So when I draw this, I feel a little bit short, lower. So I still adjusting it a little bit, and a little bit still adjusting. For beginners, very important. So you have to suspect everything, not too much sure about something too fast. So it's better to be um, try to uh, doubt about things to see maybe it was not correct. So if it's not correct, I realized I didn't prepare the eraser. Let's see if I have eraser. Oh, I need to erase it a little bit. Yeah, always a little bit struggling for details. And now I look into more detail. I feel like, oh, I did with eyes to try it a little bit. Okay, so I see this eyes a little bit shorter. And now I look at this area to decide the shape. So make it a little bit shorter to find the eyes. Also improves the details. At the very beginning, try to use the straight line to draw, not directly a curved line. That helps to correct the shape. Hit this canvas. So, okay, so I do more detail. So at the beginning, I'm not drawing directly like this way. So I'm more like a drawing with soft lines. So spend lots of time doing this. That's good. I needed to slow down. But it's helpful for you. I try to find the eyebrow pupil inside. It's still the step like outline, not directly shading. Just try to use the soft line to define the shape. And always allow yourself to find a mistake. If you find a mistake, very quick to correct yourself. Lots of people like to argue to others, like I'm not a mistake, I'm correct. So, but when you're drawing, you don't argue with it. You need to correct yourself, and you need to have the habit to always correct yourself. That helps you to improve. So, okay, so I did this side. Wait. I did this detailed, and then I move on to this side. The trick thing is when you draw this eye, you always have to look at this eye. They shouldn't like separate to work on. They needed to compare each other so that they can pair. Okay, this is a little difficult. It's difficult because everything is very subtle. You need always when you draw this line, you need to think about this line. And when you draw this line, you think about this line. Because their shape is not actually the same, but they need to feel like it belongs to the same person. So yeah, and this one, of course, the shape is longer. Yeah, but you need to feel like they belong to the same person, and they needed to be taking care of each other's. To so I feel like this is really bigger than this. And this is difficult. At the beginning, you feel like a little bit odd, but you have to step by step, step by step. Yeah. Every time, even now, I draw features, draw people. Each time is a kind of like adventure. Don't afraid of adventure. Each time is an adventure. We don't have a 100% sure that you must be never make any mistake. So yeah, the only thing is when you find a mistake, you need to correct it. So okay, almost complete. When you do this, things like this, actually, so almost done with that. And I think this eyes the corner with a little bit shorter. I'm going to work on the nose to make the nose much detailed. Sometimes you can look at this shape, this triangle, to check your models, this triangle, and your pictures, your work. So see that if it's correct. So I feel like this corner could a little bit move up. Yeah, actually when we draw, we're always correcting ourselves. So when you first time draw here, it's okay, but the second when you complete this part, you look at this, you'll feel like, oh, this is probably a little bit mistake you need to correct. So that happens. So correcting. When you draw this part, you think about this part. So when we draw nose, it's not just a one straight line. You need to see that in the on the bottom, also bone. Right? So they don't need a very accurate and see that. See this landmark. And then here, this part a little wider, a little bit wider. And this part a little more narrow, more narrow. And then here is a highlight. Actually, you can see that highlight on the tip of the nose. Open again, open again. And here it is. The shape is not totally just like a straw, but it's need a more complicated detailed structure. But because I'm demonstration, so I do like this. But usually I don't do this, but directly shading. But I already have this shape in my brain, so I can do this directly. So yeah, the same thing. So now I'm working more, a little more detail, so I get a little bit of shading beneath the nose. And then I do more detail. Now, so I check this outline of the lip. So you still need to do very soft line to work on it. Don't too quick to work on the very hard line. So yeah, since the demonstration, I spend the most time catching the shape for this work. So after the three, we can just stop. You can just quit, but I will continue to complete it. I will post it later. So okay, so the lower lid, you see here, the edge is very soft. Don't give it a conclusion line. Okay, so it's very soft. If you see it's very soft, it is very soft. So you only thing you see is the shadow under that the lid. So we need to catch this shadow more important than the shape of the lid. Okay, so we make it more detailed. Then we can go back to check this line. Check this line. Check this line. Like this line, it's not really existing a very strong, clear line. It only belongs to when you do the shading, you can see a thickness of this cheek muscle. Like this side, you can see that it's very soft, and you can see this side. And here is the between the lighting, the light part of the upper lip, up lip, and you can see this difference, but it's not really a strong outline for this. So be careful of that. So everything you understand should go back to the physical darkness, the structure. So this is the one. Okay, now I go back to check the outline of her face. So it's not. I'm doing more and more confirmed, more and more confirmed, right? More and more confirmed. So this is the one, and I work on the ear. I will work on the ear. Notice that my pencil holding is more and more steep, so get the line more and more clear. More and more clear, but not necessary to erase anything, but you can just correct it with the more clear line to get a more detailed shape. Yeah, for this work, I'm not directly do the shading and details, so it's different with my other demonstration. Then I'm going to do hair. So, oh, yeah, we need to check the shape of the hair. Shadow. So on the hair, divide into two parts. So, for this part, you can see the middle of the two groups of hairs a little bit lighten up. And it's still necessary to see that where it's from. So it's the line need to be in the middle of the forehead. If you go the profile line like this, you need to see that. But it's not totally straight. You need to follow the cranial structures. It's going backwards like curves. But even drawing the hair, we still need to think about perspective and details. Usually when I draw the hair, I do not prepare it like this, but I feel it's helpful. So this part here is more like this way, and you need to consider it's going this way and this way, and all the way go wrong and terminate backwards. That's the shape. Then so now I do a little more detail on the thyroid and thyroid, and then the muscle and address different different foot that muscle. So this dump is very clear, and another dump here, and this kind of shadow. See the difference between the muscle and the neck part, and for the chest, you can see different color. And then here you can see a little bit very light shadow from the clavicle. And then you see I still have a little mistake of the neck because this is a trapezius connecting to front. So this line is a little bit not too lean. So this side, let's double check. I'll double check this side. Double check this side. Also a little bit trapezius. A little bit forward. And then here's shoulder. Here's the clavicle, and here's the good dump. So this is a mostly detailed of the kind of like preparation for shading and preparation for shading. So I have most of the preparation of the shade. So this is I consider this is the like a second step of the drawing. So then the next step will be more shading, of course, more shading. So I would, when you do this step shading, we needed to combine lots of things together. For example, you look at the eye, we needed to have all of these dark part work together. Don't like separate too much. You need to work all of these together, and work all of this part together. That helps you to make it entirety relation for the entirety relation for the details for the structure. See this shadow, light and dark, very clear. So you need to compare each other and work all of the shape for the shadow, and also for the cheekbone. You see, I do this with a big area. Covers what? Covers the ear. Even cover the ear. I'm not separating them. So This is the way to do. It's a very classical method to work everything together. And it's a good method. But today, not so many people doing this, but I would recommend you to do like this. So this is a good to have the whole thing work together, not just to directly jump into details. Okay, so that means one layer is enough. I would say that you need to work several layers. So, but at this time, we'll enhance more for the core area. I call this a core area between light and dark. So it's like a kind of like a transmission from the light to dark. So I focus on this kind of core area to work either more detail and more contrasted. So you see, I draw the mouse, not really work on the mouse bit. I'm working on the shadow of the mouse. You see, it's very subtle things on the between the light and the dark. Yeah, so between the light and dark, and I found that the cast the shadow from the upper lip on the lower lip. So this is our most concern and understand. Do not really work on the lower lip yet, right? So it's not my habit. Most of my work, I not work like this, but a more beginning process is much more safe for you. So okay, so now I work on the thickness for the chain, thickness for the chain, and then the darkness under the chain. Yeah, so this is better to see that volume. Then I work on the darkness under the chain, and then I work more on the darkness for the neck part. So I recommend you to practice the hatching skill. It helps you to adding the layers of the hatching, layers of the shading naturally and efficiently. So this is important. And then I work on the nose again. So when I do the nose, not really drawing anything like outline and the other stuff, but more like focusing on the lighting function. See the cast the shadow, shape. Okay, like this. Okay, so of course the side of the nose, it's not that dark because it still belongs to the light part. So I will not do too much on this because on this step, I will keep it belongs to the light part, not too much dark. And then I will work on the eyes again. So on this step, I will make shadow much more clear. More clear. So you see, I'm not really make the details so clear, but I'm much more including these details into the lighting relation. So you see, enhance the contrast. You see the most deep and the darkness part. So this side, a little bit more clear inside. Actually, here you can see the shadow of the hair, shadow of the hair. leave this a little bit light because this is the light part for the shadow also on this part of the brow bone. You see that here. This part is very clear. So this is the details for this. You know that I do everything detail, but it's using the way of the value drawing way. Okay, not really like outline the. Lots of people don't know that they just outline the feature again, but we need a much more further. So here I'm doing another eye, and I see this contrast part is here. Draw the shadow. Shadow. So inside of the shadow, you see it's a little blurry, right? So yeah, the difficulty is to control which part to be blurry and which part to be clear. So different clearance creates the space. Inside, and I check that I feel like this eye could be a little more to middle, to inside. Move inside a little bit, and can move inside a little bit. But I'm not actually doing the so detail, but I would do the darkness for that. But this part I see it's supposed to be white, right? But actually in this situation, it's inside out, more inside of the shadow. Yeah, it's inside of the shadow, not really a white. A white part is on the lower lid of the eye. So this part is more contrasted. Yeah, most of the situation we have like a stereotype. We consider, oh, this should be white. This should be like a skin color. But in this work here, it's the opposite. So we draw here we can draw a little more darkness. Draw more darkness, and then we can draw the thickness of the eyelid. And then we can draw the darkness under the eyebrow. And we always need to compare two eyes together, like I said. So when I draw this darker, I would do this a little bit darker to follow up with that. So I still keep this eye pupil pretty light, not so dark yet, not the tiniest. So it's still like a step by step to work into that. So leave something for future. Okay. This one, and now I have to work on the hair. So this part of the hair, I can draw a little. Usually when we draw hair, it's a little more expressive. Okay, 8 minutes until the end of the class. So I will do mostly done in 8 minutes. Then I will try to complete it and then post it. Okay, so more details of the hair. Yeah, hair. So I will do the texture feeling of the hair later. But you must know that when I draw this hair, I need a concept. It's like a sphere. So everything you draw in the follow the structure of the surface. So you follow the structure around the surface. A lot of people draw the hair, feel like it's like a fake hair just attached to the skull. So even more detailed. And then I work on the ear details of the ear. So of course I will fill in the shading of the big shadow of the ear first. And now I am going to work on the difference between the color of the ear, the color of the hair, and the color of the skin. So let's see, hair need a more darker, so you can see the skin color. It's a little light, right? So when we do the shading of that, you feel like, oh, I did so much hair, maybe too dark. Not really. When we do the contrast of the hair and the skin, always could be different with hair. So you can see the difference. So it's not a problem. So, so it's almost the most part. Maybe for the nose, we can do a little more detailed nose. Nose, yeah. I do a little more. So make sure there is a shadow for that here. So we need to do this line and also draw the shadow of that. So you can see that shadow. And we can draw more. Yeah, and then we can draw. So when I draw this part, I still remember that this is a part like it go wrong here. So this line needed to go this way. Yeah, although it's a very small corner, we still needed to remember what we are doing, serving for that surface, that sphere. That's the reference to. More details. And then the gist of something. Sometimes when we draw later time, we find like, oh, maybe something not accurate, I can correct it, the shape and others. We always have to correct. So, but this is the method that you catch most part. I cannot say like a 99 percentage, but at least like 80 percentage of the shape as being correctly catched, including the perspective and other issues has been included. And based on this, and it's easier for you to do details and the shading and some special function, and then you can create something interesting function. So I would yeah, it's almost a three. I would finish it now, and then I could use my own time to make it more detailed, more and more look like a photo. So just to let you know that it's a possibility to work like a photo, but it's not, so the process of what I taught is most important than the photo result. So you must understand this. So this is the purpose. So I wish you can improve a little more after watching this, and in future I will do more of this and you can anytime can watch, and you know, if you really feel like you already mastered this skill, you don't have to. So it's just your option to watch and learn. All right, so I finished the